Welcome to the Transfer Exchange Show. We are live, and it's a race to the top four special. We're joined by Manchester United super fan Natalie. How you doing, Natalie?
I'm good. It's been a long time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I have to say super fan because you go to all the games, you go to the women's games, you're in adverts representing Man United. Like that is top upper echelons of fans.
No.
Yeah, that's respect for that. And
Thank
of course, I'm joined by my co-host Steve K. How you doing, Steve?
Yeah, cheers, mate. Good to be here. Good to be here.
All right, we've got plenty to talk about. First and foremost, Natalie, Man United, they went from 4-2 victors against Leeds United, and to some Man United fans, they'd be happy that they probably helped push Bielsa over the line. Leeds fans aren't happy. That's got to make Man United fans happy. You went on to get a 1-1 draw. I say victory. It was near enough. Yeah. It felt like a victory the way they done it. A 1-1 draw against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. But then all undone by a 0-0 draw at home to Watford. What happened there?
It was just horrendous, really. It wasn't horrendous. That's probably a wrong word, but it's just how can you, like you say, go from sort of being on top of the world kind of thing. And I know it's only Leeds. I know sort of Atletico are going through a bad time, and you know we did sort of sneak it, you know, like rope-a-dope kind of thing. Went in there, boom, last minute, 1-1. But it was good. It wasn't a good performance. It was a good result, really, 1-1 against Atletico. But yeah, that is sort of similar to what we have been seeing, though, from Man United. We have been creating chances. You know, you look at the games before, you know, you look at sort of us versus Villa, us versus Burnley, us versus Middlesbrough, even in the Cup. We're creating a lot of chances. It's just they're not putting them away. And I'm not going to come on here and say this striker that, this striker that. I just think it's a lot of them, you know. It's you know, clinicalness. I think that's what Ralph said. We're not clinical. You would have a problem if you weren't creating chances, but the fact that you're creating chances, he can't really stand there and put it in the net for them, really, because that's what a lot of those chances were. You know, they were really sort of clear cut, yeah. And you know, you're shooting it right at the keeper, you're shooting it wide, you're heading over. And it's not bad players. They're not bad players. It's just I don't know if it's sort of confidence or they need some more belief in themselves, or they just need to go on the pitch training every day, you know, putting those balls in the net. And you know, when it comes like normal, which, you know, for Ronaldo, you do expect it to be normal. He did score one, but he was offside.
And he hit the post as well. That unlucky.
Yeah, so you can't. That is unlucky. Yeah, that is luck. You do need that bit of luck. But Bruno in that game, I mean, it's beyond luck. That's just, I don't even know what that is. I'm not. That's why I'm not a manager. But I mean, he was best off speaking to Nathan. He's a big striker. He's a striker, isn't it? You know, he used to bang him in, and he probably has those moments where you can have those.
He's pulling his hair out, isn't he?
Yeah, thinking, give me them chances now at his grown age, and he would bang him in. Yeah.
We'll have to send him down there. Steve, Man United, it feels like they're doing everything they can to throw away these chances of top four. And I've spoken many times before how where I speak to a lot of different fans from different teams, and Man United, when you listen to them, they don't even speak about will we get in top four. They're talking about when are we going to win the league again, which is very far removed from other teams around them. They're competing with the likes of Tottenham, West Ham, and currently Arsenal. But Man United right now, it feels like this could be no top four if they continue the way they're going.
Yeah, and I'm sure Natalie would agree. When you look at the players that they've got, it. You know, even us as Arsenal fans, you know, if it was at the beginning of the season, we were saying that, you know, we would hoping that we get into Europe, because we looked at Manchester United squad, and we just see talent all over the pitch. I mean, they've got 4, possibly 5 on their day, world class players. So it makes you wonder what the problem is there, and or are we sort of, you know, bigging up them players too much, and are they not the players we were? There's a lot of questions, you know, about Ronaldo, and you know, was he the right signing? You know, we bought, you know, we had Aubameyang, and you know, he won Golden Boots, and you know, he was top goal scorers of our club for 3-4 years. But you know, where did it leave us? It left us in 8th place, which is not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. I see a little bit of that in Manchester United and with Ronaldo. You know, sometimes it's okay having the best players and the greatest players, but if the DNA isn't fitting into the whole side, then Ronaldo's may have possibly, I mean, Natalie can answer the question in a minute, was he the wrong signing? Was he the wrong player to bring in? We talk a lot about, you know, buying players, not necessarily of who they are and for their price tag, but, you know, for just doing the job in the side. And you know, maybe Newcastle, maybe Manchester United have got to look at that a bit. I mean, their defence. You know, Natalie was just saying about the strikers there. I mean, their defence is pretty poor as well. You know, when you look at their stats this season, and when you think of how well De Gea's played as well, it could be a lot worse. So from that, there's a lot of work to be done, and it's going to take someone. Is Rangnick the right man? I don't know. Will it, you know, when someone comes in, is he the right man? You know, they've brought in some incredible managers over the past few years with Mourinho and Van Gaal, and it's just not working, and it's all the time. So is it their mentality behind the club? That'd be interesting to see what Natalie thinks, to whether there's something in the club that they're not. The word is that they're not feeding down a winning mentality into the players, into the club, and onto the pitch, and maybe that is, but they've certainly got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, no, definitely, they definitely have got a lot of work to do. There's a lot of voices out there, Natalie, that say that Cristiano Ronaldo was potentially not the right person to bring in. But do you see it that way?
I can see why they say that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I just don't believe all this. Oh, Ronaldo's at fault. Ronaldo scored half our goals, you know what I'm saying, this season. So, and, you know, a lot of people say, oh, Cavani was doing it and he was doing so well. But where's Cavani been? And that's as well sort of, he's not been turning up. You know, I know he's going to leave, but I can potentially see it that he's going to say, I'm injured for the rest of this. You know, he doesn't play again. And that's the kind of sort of mentality of a lot of these players. At least Paul Pogba's coming and playing. At least Jesse Lingard's playing. Yeah, they're going to leave, but at least they're, you know, trying to help and fight. Mm-hmm. And, you know, whereas Cavani, he's just gone. And it's not even, you know, he was gone by about, you know, March. Got like this is the time when we need you the most, and you're not turning up. And I'm not saying he's not injured, but you know, there's times where, you know, it's just, I think as well, Ralph says a lot of it about them. You know, when Martial went, well, Martial's not in, and he says, oh, I'm always here. No, it's if the physio declares you fit, but you say I still feeling my hamstring. You know, it's just these little snidey things, and I just think that's a lot of it. And I do agree with what Steve's saying. And I had a guy in my work who supports Arsenal, and he said, you see the difference between both of us. I mean, look at the way Arsenal just dragged out that victory. But I thought you were going to drop points, but you beat Wolves, and then we played Watford, and you guys dragged it. And I just think the difference is you guys stuck with Arteta. I'm not saying, I know people be like, oh, Natalie, what do you mean? Who should we have stuck with? But I would have stuck, you know, it was going bad, but I just feel like with these managers, you come in and you're bringing in a manager and you bring in a totally different manager. So you had Ollie, who's more of a counter-attacking, whether we like to admit it or not, that's the way he played. Now you're bringing in this gang and press kind of guy, Ralph, so it's taking him a while. So who are you going to bring in next? If you bring in Pochettino, is that going more to back like an Ollie style? There's so many players. It's got to be someone
who's going to be sort of the continuation of potentially what you've got now, rather than changing. 100% agree. He's potentially one of the managers you're talking about, Louis van Gaal. That's a name that it comes up a lot about he was treated badly, the way he got sacked after the FA Cup win, and it was actually going all right. They just jumped the gun maybe because they had an opportunity to get Mourinho.
Yeah, I think Louis was hit and miss, but you've got to go through those tough times.
Yeah.
To sort of get there out at the end, and like I said, Arteta, there was a point where they were saying, "Ready," you know, and Man United would have pulled the trigger definitely, you know, if in the same situation. So I've got to give respect in a way to maybe Arsenal, and I'd love to know what Steve thinks. You know, at that moment when everyone was like, "Pull the trigger," and Arteta he's useless. He's look at the rest, but they stuck with him, and like you said, they stuck with him and allowed him to sort of, like you say, get rid of your Aubameyangs, get rid of your big players. Whereas I don't know if United have really allowed that under sort of other managers. And, you know, there's talk when Donny van der Beek came in, he wasn't really what Ollie wanted. Well, he's, you know, now he's gone. I'm not saying he was the answer either, but I just think that if you get a manager, you've got to really stick by them. Yeah, it's all right giving them a bit of money, letting them buy 2 or 3 names, but you've got to give him 2 or 3 summers, really, you know, proper back through January and through winter. And if they want to get rid of someone who's on, you know, a Pogba, let them get rid of him. You know, he's going anyway, but let them get rid of Jesse back in the summer. And whether, you know, I don't know fully what happened around those moments, but for me, it's let a manager have a proper career. If you lose money on them, you lose money on them. It doesn't matter. If you have to cancel contracts, you have to cancel contracts. And that's what I think our club doesn't want to do. They want to maximise the profits, kind of thing.
I think one problem that was quite evident with Solskjaer was I don't think he wanted to have them conversations with people with regards to like it always felt like Paul Pogba, they were going to try and give Paul Pogba a new contract. They were going to try and keep Jesse Lingard longer. They were going to try this. They were saying to Donny van der Beek, stay, you're going to get game time. It's like there was no cut. I don't see any cuts with Ollie, and that's what I feel like it got to. He wanted everyone to be his mate. He was keeping everyone sweet. Whereas people are going to start seeing through that in the end. I know you was asking a question about Arteta to Steve. Steve, what was your thoughts on Arteta at the time when it was rough?
Well, as you know, Kieran, I've always been behind Arteta right from minute one, and Natalie, I've seen improvement from right from the off, and you know, people who have slagged him off, put him down, and you know, I mean, where are you now? You know, look where we are, look what we're doing. Even if we don't finish fourth, you know, there's a process there. We're improving. But what it is was when he came in, Natalie, it's the way I look at it. I just spoke about getting the right player to fit into your side, to fit the DNA of the club at Pacific Time, and Manchester United were always seeming to go for the best manager, the best this, the best player, the best that. I think that's wrong. I might be wrong. I don't see Man United as much as you, but I think they need to look in more towards a different type of player. But going back to Arteta, he was a type of manager that we needed at that particular time, and he came in. He's a young manager. We're a very young team. So you always want a manager who can associate with, you know, your players, and he's certainly done that. The players love him. He's fitted in, and you know he hasn't looked back really. He won the cup in his first year. We had a sort of a building second season, and now the third season we're sort of, you know, seeing the growth from it. But yeah, I mean, I think that's what Man United have got to do. I think they've got to look at that type of manager. I think they've got to look at someone like an Arteta. Ollie probably wasn't for me. Ollie for me, again, I don't watch Manchester United, but Ollie for me wasn't a bad choice. I just think there was just something he needed. I don't know what, But if he had that something, I think he would have been an excellent manager for Manchester United.
Yeah.
He came in and he seemed to me like he was doing an ambassadorial role with the tag of a manager put on top of his head. And I always used to say he needed help. Arteta's got that help. He seems to be getting backed. And I feel that's the way Man United got to go.
Well, I just want to say I do agree with what Kieran said about he always wanted to be mates, and I think that's when he probably got found out. I think he should have let a lot of players go in the summer, and he didn't. And yeah, you know, we can't keep everyone, and that's what it is, keeping everyone sweet. And it got sort of found out, like I said. But I just think, yeah, for me, I don't know if we're going to go on to it, but like I like that Tag Heg from Ajax. I think he's a young guy coming up. I feel like Poch has been there, done it, and I'm not saying I wouldn't want Poch, but a lot of people are saying they don't want him. But
what is it about Ten Hag that you like? Then
I just like the like he's a young manager, up and coming, shown he can do it. Yes, it's only the Dutch league, but he's shown he can do it. He's shown he can do it in the Champions League if you back him properly. But then I think that's not what we've not got at the minute. I don't think we've got the structure in place. I think it's very still fragmented. I think, you know, this new guy, Richard Arnold's come in, and, you know, the director of football, it's probably too much. They're trying to get a deputy in, then they're trying to get, you know, Fletcher in. And then people get upset because they're like, oh, it's this and that, nepotism or whatever. But I don't think it's that. I just think they do need more kind of higher up people. They need more football people, really, in and around. And that's why I'm happy in a way. Ralph's going to step up and be a Sousa advisor and show them the way. But that's what I think's happened. I think Fergie ran it all. And when he left, it's just sort of been like, oh, what we're doing. Here's the money. Well, money doesn't always get you there. Like you say, you need the right player to fit the formation, the ethos. And the biggest player isn't always like that. I think like Bruno, no one really, they didn't know he was good, but he came in and he's sort of fitted in perfectly and he's hit the ground running. And that's sort of a player that we needed at the time, but wasn't that kind of, you know, Champions League kind of star. He did have the numbers of people, you know, but he wasn't that, you know, in the headlines all the time. Everyone's talking, everyone's fighting. Whereas I feel like now I'm still hearing things like Harry Kane and all this. And I just think we need to just, I do think Harry Kane will be good, but is it, like you say, are we going back down the same route, the same thing? Let's get in, you know, young, hungry players. That's what I think we need to go back to. That is Man United.
Yeah. One thing I'd say about Ten Hag, although he's a very talented manager, and I think that's what... Oh, before I continue, we'll get on back to that. We are joined by Roshan Thomas. How are you doing, Roshan? Currently 1-0 to Southampton. Give us the breakdown of the game so far.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite disappointing first half. Created quite a few chances to be fair. But obviously, Southampton's been more nice really but it's weren't clinical when the matter goes. So that's probably we're talking about from the first half so far. Southampton had one great chance to score. West Ham had a number of good chances.
So what was the goal for Southampton like then?
It was a really good goal. About 30 yards from the goal. Great left foot goal past Areola. And if he doesn't end up being the winner, it's definitely
Can you see West Ham getting it back in the second half?
And because of moment of time, I don't. Because just haven't been clinical enough in front of the goal. And also, this is highlighted by the fact that it's very weak. It's why we have the bench on the bench. I think it's all right for boys to turn to us in the second half. So right on ball and rise and told you use your names to come up the level in the second half.
Yeah, definitely. I know there's a lot of West Ham fans that will be disappointed if West Ham were to go out against Southampton in this game. They want to see a bit of silverware, don't they?
a bit of silver, mate. You know what I mean? You want to win it all. The Premier League if they could, the Europa League FA Cup. But I believe realistically this competition West Ham can win. So that's what makes me so one way away from the quarterfinals. After that, it's not going to be the semi-finals. Plus the financial incentives backwards. So who's incentive for West Ham to win this game?
So as this is a top four race point, the big line if they were to go out to that potentially, and they could concentrate more on the league and getting that top four spot.
If I were to say which one two should be the priority to the FA because the top four, it's West Ham, Wolves, and really tough. Really tough. My squad, top four. So I know on Saturday they have a tough game. So it's not going to be an easy back to the Europa League as well. So that's why I think realistically this is the one to prioritise. So far this game.
Yeah, no, I hear you. You want the silverware. It's not overly important for West Ham to get top four. It'll be quite important that they get into Europe. Be like I said, continuation of being in Europe. But you want that trophy, either Europa League or potentially this FA Cup.
Well, if it's Europa League, happy days. You know, Seville, the Park, some Queen. Oh, what time back on?
It is a working trip. You do know that.
I'm not even talking about. I'm on holiday. See Spain, I think on holiday.
All right. Roshan, thank you for joining us. We enjoyed the second half, and I mean, I actually hope that West Ham do put it back in the second half because it would mean that they've got more games, more trophies to concentrate on, and that top four spot is more likely to become Arsenal's, hopefully. All the best.
Cheers, Jim. Thanks, mate.
All right. A little hard to hear there, but I managed to squint. I was squinting. I was giving it that, which meant it heightened my hearing. Just before Roshan come on, I was just saying, I think Man United, they need to be careful with Ten Hag. He's a very talented manager. He's doing a lot of good things with Ajax, but the structure they have at Ajax, they don't have at Man United. The support network. I mean, just off the bat, you've got Edwin van der Sar and you had Mark Overmars, two of the most sought after directors of football and chief execs in the game. Everyone wants a piece of them. Even there's talk of Man United trying to take both at one point. So I just think, yes, Ten Hag sounds like a very good option, but for Man United, will it be a De Boer situation like we saw at Crystal Palace? Because we've got to remember, Ajax, De Boer was at Ajax and he was part of that invincible team. They didn't lose a game all season. They got to a Europa League final and lost to Man United. So yes, Ten Hag, fashionable, looks good on paper. I just don't. I think if you're getting Ten Hag, you have to sort out upstairs as well massively. And I don't know whether Rangnick is going to be enough upstairs to support Ten Hag going forward.
Well, there is some more coming in upstairs. I don't know who, but they're looking to get another deputy director. So it would be John Murtagh and another that would work alongside. And then underneath that, they've got Darren Fletcher. And I think they've got, well, they always had Nick Cox, who was like head of academy, but they've got more people. And that's what I think they need. They need more people upstairs, more football people. Where Ralph will come in, only, I don't know, maybe under, next to Fletcher, but under sort of John Murtagh kind of thing. But they need, and this is what I'm saying, it's not going to be, I get where Steve was saying, like, Man United fans are saying we're going to win the league and when are we going to win the league? But that's because the ambition that they've always had, and then the buy-in, Rafael Varane, Cristiano Ronaldo, these aren't just, I mean, only God knows if we don't get Champions League, Ronaldo will go. That's what I know for sure. But, Varane, he wasn't brought in thinking, I'm going to be fighting for Champions League. He was probably thinking, they finished second, they got to the Europa League final. These are the kind of players that they're signing. We're going to, be challenging for the top of the league. So I think we can get there. They are good players, but like you say, I think the top structure needs to get sorted out, like ASAP, like now. Yeah. And then you bring in a manager. I'm still happy if they got in Poch, if that is, because they're the two main names that we are seeing. I would still be happy, but I think whoever to bring in, they need to sort out the structure on top. And, that should be the urgent priority now as well.
What would potentially be your reservations against Poch? Is it because you feel like he might go for default signings like a Harry Kane?
My reservation is the fact, yes, he's doing well in Paris, but then it's a different, it's basically a one team. Not in a horrible way. I know that Lille did win it last year, but I just think he's not really won much. Yes, this will be the first time he's won, but I just think at Spurs he could have done better with what he had. I know. He did get to the final. He did get to the final of.
You sound like Daniel Levy.
I know. But he did get to the final of the Europa Cup. Not Champions League. The Carabao Cup.
What would Sir Alex? What would Sir Alex be saying about Tottenham? What would Gary Neville be saying about Tottenham? It's Tottenham.
But it's changed now. It's changed. Liverpool.
Why has it changed?
When I grew up, Liverpool were no one. Now they're winning Champions Leagues again, and I know they have that history. But Liverpool would trash.
No, but Liverpool still managed to be a cup team. That's one thing they didn't.
And that's what I think Spurs should have done a lot better. They should have won a cup. They should have won a cup.
But the reason, I just feel like Poch is a victim of his own success.
Maybe.
That Tottenham team, when he took over, yes, there was Martin Jol, who did really good. And Harry Redknapp, again, did really good. All in very short spurts. Poch was the first manager for Tottenham, I felt like he set a blueprint there. And they had an opportunity to take that forward if they backed him. But he just didn't get backed. Didn't get backed.
And what I do worry about Poch is he's doing all right with Messi, but I just think it's just all right, isn't it? I think Paris needs to go and win the Champions League. I do think Paris needs to win the Champions League.
Steve, what's your fault? You are hard on him. Steve, what's your thoughts on Poch?
Natalie,
Poch with some of his superstars that he's got at PSG.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do at PSG, is there? You win the league, or you go for the Champions League, and PSG. The leagues is more or less nailed on every year to any manager who goes there, give or take. And the Champions League is the Champions League, and and unless you're Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, or Barcelona, and Liverpool, PSG are struggling. So. Yeah, I do like Poch. I really do. And as far as with where Man United's concerned, a lot of people, Man United fans, are saying that they want Ten Hag, but really, when I put the two together, he's won the Eredivisie. That's it. That's all he's done. And I'm not someone who would bring that up as a fault, because I'm one for putting, like I just said, bringing the right man in at the right time at the right club, and Ten Hag could very well be that man. But I think Poch would go there. I think he'd have the pull of many players when he went there. I think that Kane could possibly go there, even if they wasn't in the Champions League. That's going to be important for United, because if they're not in the Champions League, we're talking about Haaland, and is he going to go Manchester United if Manchester United are not in the Champions League? It's unlikely. It's very unlikely. But for me, the perfect manager for Manchester United is who's got all the attributes is Zinedine Zidane. And I know he says he wants to manage PSG, he wants to, manage France. But I would go all out and get this guy. This guy would be respected by his players, for one. This guy could bring any player in because of who he is. And he wouldn't stand for any rubbish. And this guy's a serial winner. So this is the guy that and he's of good age. This is the guy that I think Man United need, and not necessarily a Ten Hag or a Poch, but definitely, if Zidane is a personal choice, but I think Poch is the man to take him forward. And as you said, he's got Tottenham with like a pony side, right? And he got them to a Champions League final. He built that Southampton side from nothing. I mean, is there really any difference from the Southampton side that he's had? If you put that into the Eredivisie and put them in there, I wouldn't be surprised if they won that. So
think of the players that are in that side, that Southampton side. Tadic was in there, and he found a fair few gems in there as well.
Yeah,
Sadio Mane.
Yeah,
I just think that if he gets like some free reign on bringing in signings, which I think he would do at Man United, I think he'd flourish. I think it would take time. I don't think it would be anything overnight because of the way he plays. But I do think there'd be some form of continuation with what Rangnick's doing with regards to the press, because Poch likes to press. He needs his players fit. One thing that I heard multiple times from especially players like Christian Eriksen. So you Bruno Fernandes of this world are going to feel it. He said you're doing double sessions, you're working hard. He hated it, and in the end, he had to buy into it because Poch isn't very forgiving with that sort of stuff. And it's probably why Messi's only scored a couple of goals and got a few assists, because he wants Messi to do a job as any other player. He's not seeing him as we're going to build a team around you, because how much longevity does that have? I'm sure people probably think he's crazy, but that's just not going to work for him. But that's my personal. I think the Poch should be in there.
I mean, Natalie, if Poch came in and you was given Poch and Harry Kane, because I think personally, I've been told that if Poch was Manchester United manager, if you get him Kane's at Man United, he would just follow, like the Pied Piper. If you was given those two, would you accept Poch then?
Yeah, listen, I'd accept Poch now. And anyone comes in, I think he needs to. The only reason I'd sort of more Ten Hag is that he's young. Ralph can sort of guide him a bit more. Whereas would Poch accept Ralph sort of looking over him and saying this, and that's the only reason why I think. But if Poch came in and he said, right, I want a free reign and I want Harry Kane, and they actually work together, him and Ralph, on, because they must still be looking at targets and that for the summer. So a lot of them are going to be sort of Ralph target. And this is the only thing with me. I think if we need to bring someone in and just be like, yeah, go. I think we've had too many styles. You've had Jose's style, you've had the Louis van Gaal, you've had the Ole, then you have the Poch, and then are they going to back him? I think it's just all about, like you say, backing him. But I'd love Harry Kane. Harry Kane would be fantastic. But do I think that? I just feel like anyone can come in this team at the minute. You've talked about Hangland and Harry Kane and this. I think any world-class player could come in this team and they'd look average currently. That's what I do feel. I just think it's so disjointed. It's so...
Who do you have a problem with, Natalie? Who have you got a problem with in that Man United side?
I don't like Eric Bailly. I know it's a bit. I know he's not playing, but I just feel like there's a lot of negative people there that are just draining life, and I just feel like he's one. I think Pogba can be like that, hit and miss, turn it on and off. But then it's whoever's briefing the media as well. Lingard, I think he sort of said, "Oh, I'd always show respect." Then he's out here reposting pictures of West Ham, and laughing. I just think a lot of these guys are not taking it seriously. They want to leave, we'll leave. There's talk of reports of 12 players want to leave. Ronaldo's one. I love Ronaldo since the day he joined. I was a 12-year-old girl and I loved him, and I followed him everywhere, and I've always hoped for this moment for him coming back. But if he wants to leave, let him leave. I want people who want to be there. I want young, hungry players. The only one who look like they want to be there is Elanga at the minute, really.
Yeah,
the only one who's
as well.
Yeah, the only one who's putting in effort at times is Elanga. So, for me, I'm a fan of if they all want to leave but Elanga, let them leave. I mean, Rashford, he's getting a lot of stick as well, but I think he does love the club. I think he wants the best, and I feel like you can get the best out of him, but there's something wrong with him. Something's happened, whether it's the Euros, and I think people underestimate that, and probably a lot that he did take out of them. But I mean, one player who they said was rubbish and he needs to go, and why is Donny not playing over him? Fred. Fred is absolutely thriving now.
Not Donny, please.
Yeah. No, but the thing is, Donny, he's going to be this, going to be that. He's, I think I'm happy that he's playing at Everton, but he's not I think Fred always was a good player. I really like Scott McTominay. I think he's a good player. It's just they're not I don't even know what they.
Scott McTominay being a good player is one thing that Man United have produced throughout the years. That's without doubt. Look at the likes of Lingard, even when you got Danny Welbeck, which people will snigger at, but you're talking about a player who is currently in a team in the top half of the table, who was at Arsenal. Man United have always produced very good squad players, first team players for any other team, and they can produce good players. But what they've also done is they've added to that as well. And they've added class to that. I think Man United are missing someone in the middle, and Scott McTominay isn't the answer. He's an option, but he's not the answer. Fred's an option, but he's not the answer. And I think that's what it is. I think you just need some first team players, some star players, not necessarily superstar players, big names, but the right player. Top players in those positions that brings it up a level.
What I will say though, everyone wants to get rid of this, get rid of that. You can't just get rid of, your Fred McTominay's, your Rashford. Get rid of him. That's the sort of mentality that has been too prevalent.
That's the mentality with probably every club out there, Natalie. I think it's a new age thing where they talk. When it can't be a case of you bring in someone to add to the team. It's you bring in someone to replace him and have one out of my club. And that's not how football works. You need a squad, and if you're going to just get rid of players, then you're going to go down. Like you need players to bring. You need to ladder up. You've got the level there. You need another player to add on top of that. That's what you need. But I would point to the inconsistency of players like Luke Shaw, who could at times is one of your best players, and then when he doesn't really fancy it, it's like that's the one that would be frustrating for me. Then you hear things from Harry Kane. I don't know whether he's too wrapped up in this captaincy lark. Like, yes, you are the captain, but like, I just feel like there's too many stories coming out about him as well, and stories that not necessarily directly coming from him, but are clearly coming from his agents or his people, where it's around about like Harry Maguire feels this way. Well, how do you know Harry Maguire feels this way? That's coming from his agency. That's coming from somewhere around his circle, and that's being leaked. So that's one of the players. It may not be direct, but it's an indirect way of delivering a bit of news to let people know that Harry Maguire's not happy about the situation that's going on with Ronaldo and potentially him losing the captaincy. Go on.
What I will say, though, do you think the fans are happy? So when they keep briefing this, the only people that say, we're not happy that we're going to training, we're not happy this, we're not happy with Ralph that, we're not happy with this assistant.
Yeah.
The only people now, because there's, you know, I think Ollie protected them a lot, and everyone was like, Ollie out, Ollie out. There was this big debate, Ollie in, Ollie out. Now everyone's just like, shut the up. Yeah, get on with it. Yeah, you've not got someone there. We see you now for what you are. Oh, this. Oh, I don't feel happy. Oh, and then when they were laughing over the it sounds like Ted Lasso. No one was laughing. People were just saying, get out. And if you know all this 10 players and Harry wants to leave, if he's not good, bye, go. You know, that's where I'm at now with a lot of, that's where a lot of Man United fans are at. If you want to leave, get out. You know, if you don't want to, like you say, turn up now and then, get out. You know, I'm fed up of it all, and I think a lot of United fans are, and I just feel like I was on a pod the other day and someone said, and I agree with this, you know, it might be the best thing if we don't get Champions League because it's just short-term ambitions, Champions League, and then we're in the same situation next year and we're fighting. It's just, you know what I mean? And obviously, you want Champions League. Yeah. But it's just papering over a crack, really.
It shouldn't need to get to that. It shouldn't need to get to not wanting Champions League to feel like you need to reset. Because I tell you now, like not having Champions League and not having Europe it's a massive thorn in the side. Like I don't think people get it until they're in the situation. Man United, they may not feel it as much because it's Man United and it's only if would be one season out. But not being in the Champions League, the level of player and the amount extra you have to pay to get in a certain level of player is night and day. Like you won't get them top players that you're talking about. They're not coming anywhere near your club with no Champions League or no Europe. And if you are going to get players that are even close to that, you're having to pay an extra 10 million on top.
It seems to me that this ain't going on. I mean, three seasons now this has been going on. It was a little while ago that Man United were looking good for Champions League. That's a few games in hand. They were playing quite decent. And then we had this, someone said this, someone said that, someone said this behind the scenes. And then all of a sudden, everything went, you know, haywire on the pitch. You know, it's very easy to see when you're looking at it, you know, where the problems are. I mean, for me, you know, who do you think that is the problem? Because this is 3 seasons now that Man United has, you know, been, you know, looking good, playing well, and everyone's getting excited. At the start of the season, Natalie, they were my title favourites, yeah. But then all of a sudden, something happened behind the scenes, and then everything went haywire on the pitch again. And is it the players? You know, you've got the leaks. You've got Paul Pogba, who I love as a player. I love him, but I just feel he's got to go because I think he could be behind a lot of what's going on. And then that's when I think when you start sifting a few of these people out, that's when you can start getting the run again in the top 4. I'm just what who do you think it is? That do you know that who's causing these problems behind the scenes?
I don't know directly, obviously, but you know, yeah, you do hear they're split into camps, and this is what there's the English sort of camp, you know, your Harry Maguire, your Luke Shaws, your this, your that, your Rashford. I don't know if Rashford, but then there's the Ronaldo, the Brunos, the this, the others, and then there's Pogba's little clique, and I think Pogba going, Lingard going, you know, Lingard is a good player. You saw he was good for West Ham, but then that's probably, you know, where it is. I mean, there's big stories come out saying, oh, he was desperate to go to Newcastle. Well, let him go, you know. If you just lose that, who cares? You know, because you lose him for free anyway. And I feel like a lot of it is the board. I know it's sort of, it's an easy, and you might think that's an easy kind of thing. Because I do think the players, I think, like you say, with all these leaks that have come out, you know, it's clear as day. It's them. But I do think there's no one there saying this is a priority. This is kind of thing. This is our. I mean, Fred came out and said it. It's not great that we've got. You know, he's behind him, but it's not great that we've got an interim manager. What's the future? So if he's coming out full quote from himself, saying what's the plan for the future, for me, that's just, because I think in any club, I think in the City, they know 5 years' time, boom, this is what we want. In Liverpool, Klopp came in and said, this is the way we're playing, and, in X amount of years, we're going to be doing this, and they're doing it. I'm sure they've got plans for, God, even the signings that they made in the summer, Jota, a really good signing. I remember when we were linked to Mane, and, a lot of our fan base, people were sending me like all these crazy messages. Why do you want someone like Mane? And I'll look at him, I just think
Why
we
would
need
you
to
want
grow
Mane?
to, no, but I just think we want these kind of Di Maria, Falcao, you want all these big star names. And I know people laugh, but he's got a great determination.
No, you're right.
You're 100% right. I see John McGinn as a Alex Ferguson signing. Alex Ferguson would sign a John McGinn. I feel like I feel like Alex Ferguson would.
Fletcher.
Yeah, I feel like Man. I spoke about it in a pod recently about Man United. I feel like they've lacked the DNA on the pitch, and it comes from what they're buying up in the transfer market. And they're going out, and we also done another pod recently about Man United's a tier list of Man United signings since Sir Alex left. The signings Man United made are ridiculous, like crazy players, like uber superstar names that are either won Champions Leagues or at teams which are like elite teams, like Memphis Depay, Di Maria, Bastian Schweizer, although in his latter years, Bastian Schweizer, like the names, the list goes on. It's mental. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, again, Lukaku, the list goes on, But are they the right players? Did they have the right players around them? Did they bring in the Di Marias for the right reasons? Or did they bring him in because it was a name and you've lost the biggest name that you had in Alex Ferguson and you felt like you had to bring in lavish gifts to all the fans to make them happy? But that's not the right player. Man United went out and bought the best players in the league, and then they'd have like a little fiddle around with a gem that could be, hopefully will be. And that wasn't a cheap gem either. It was a gem from Europe or South America that is like, you know what? This is what I'm going to take a risk. This is what I know can do it. And they did that for years and years and years. And it worked. That blueprint worked. They stopped that.
They went for the Galacticos, innit? They went for the Galacticos because that's the way. And I think, Ronaldo is a Galactico. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people blame him, but for me, he's my favourite player of all time. So maybe I've got a little soft spot for him. And I'm not going to fully call him out.
The DNA of Man United, I think, has got to change. The DNA of Man United is always by the main man, isn't it? They've gone and bought Rooney. They went and bought Van Persie. They went and bought the top guy to go and win the title. For some reason, that's not happening anymore. If I'm a Man United fan and I'm looking at it there and I'm seeing the world-class manager's not working, the world-class player on the pitch ain't working, then I'm looking at the under-23s in the side. Yeah, I'm looking at Pellistri. I'm looking at players like Diallo. I'm looking at players like Hannibal. I'm sure Natalie can run off another 5 or 6. That I think they've got to bring these in. I think they've got to change their way while they've got these chances, because these players in the under 20, what will happen is they won't get a game and they'll leave and they'll go to other clubs. And I think they've got to start looking at these players. I don't know what Natalie thinks.
Yeah, I mean, we've just lost on penalties, but it was 2-2. And Charlie McNeil, he's it was the under 19s he was playing in, so I think he plays in the under 18s. But yeah, I'd look and calling up people like that, putting them in around the squad. Robbie Savage's son, Charlie Savage, he did get a call up. But this is what I will say: Ralph is sort of doing it. He is sort of Zidane Iqbal. He was called up as well, and these are Hannibal is in and around the squad. With Elanga was going to go out on loan. And I'm not saying loans are a bad thing. I do think it's good. Dalot is Ahmad. He's out in Rangers and he's smashing it, and they played in a friendly and he scored 2 goals. You know, so it is. He does need those minutes, and he is getting them. And I do think, you know, Ahmad will come back, and if he's not, you know, he'll start the preseason. He'll play. He should be playing, and I can see, like you said about the Hannibal, he is in and around it. They are talking of him as doing, because he did it in the African Cup of Nations, didn't it? So I do think within the next. Be careful, yeah, I wouldn't do it against like City and all that, because I know people are like, oh, just play, but you know the games after that, why not? You know, I mean, God, who knows what happens after this City game? These games gonna be? I don't even know. Are we gonna be out of it? And then, you know, I would just play Hannibal. I don't know. It depends where we're at, isn't it?
The thing is, it's easy for people to turn around and after seems like you've exhausted every other possibility of every player in every position, square pegs in round holes, round pegs in round holes, and it's not working. You're beating your head against a brick wall. It's easy for people to turn around and say, oh, just stick the youngsters in, and then we don't care. We just want to see people who try. But then it could be quite damaging for the youngsters, and you've got to look after them. You can't just turn around and go, oh, worst players, throw the youngsters in it, and they get smashed 3-4-0 every week. Like, that will ruin them. Like, that won't be good for them. Yeah. It won't be any good. You've got to be very careful with them. People like Hannibal, I can understand why he wants to bring him in the team, and I can understand why he hasn't brought him in the team, because he's a player who needs protection. He's a player who needs the right players around him, and Man United, in the current state they're at, probably aren't a team that you should be putting him into.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, like what Steve said about you would just bring him in, you know, and we'd buy the best here, and then you know what you just said. We're a team that you could bring up, and it was easier for them to bring it up, you know. And now I think we've lost that a bit, you know, because like you say, you want to bring them up and they're getting smashed 4-5, you know, because it's just going to ruin them. Yeah, I mean, even look at Elanga. Everyone's. It's sort of, I don't want it to be, because this is what happened with Rashford in a way, and you remember it. Yeah, it was all on Rashford, and then now
couldn't be wrong.
People are saying chuck Rashford out.
Yeah.
So
it's very easy to turn.
And I don't want that to happen to Elanga in a way, because it's happening already. We're relying on him like for everything, and that's what we did with Rashford when he was 19. And I just feel like, I'm not saying he's burnt out or anything, but now he's sort of, he'll play with injuries and all that kind of stuff, and he's had to have surgery, and he's still young, Rashford, you know. Still not at the peak, and I'm just, you know, we're not seeing the best still of him, you know, and that's what I don't want to happen to all these players, really.
Well, you could have the Smith Rowe Saka scenario, where you bring 2 players in, you put them in the side, and straight away they're on it, and they're taking you towards Champions League. Fingers crossed.
But
you don't know.
The situation with even all 3 of those players weren't as smooth sailing as what it may look like to our people on the outside. Saka came into an Arsenal team who were under Emery. At the time, he was getting pulled from pillar to post and put in multiple different positions. Emil Smith Rowe went out on loan to Huddersfield. Martinelli, who had a very good start to his career at Arsenal, had to learn a different way of playing. Otherwise, Mikel Arteta weren't going to have none of it. So all of these things take time. All of those things were probably questioned by a lot of fans. I've even at times you hear Saka's being questioned about certain attributes that he has, but there's always going to be complaints. I think with someone like Hannibal, he's got plenty of time on his hands, and I think having someone like Ralph Rangnick is very good for him, and even the youngsters, because that last game, people will point things about the game against Young Boys which you drew, but I think 8 of those players were from the youth team, all under 23s, which is what you want, especially in a dead rubber game like that. Before we go, you've got a big game on the weekend. Manchester derby, followed by Tottenham, followed by Atletico Madrid at home, and then wow.
You got busy week.
Very, very busy. Natalie, let's just focus on the Man City game. What's your thoughts going into that one?
I'm not
holding your heart there.
Yeah, I was just about to sneeze. But it's not looking good, is it? It's not. I can't. You got to say it. It's not looking good, and City really do need, if anything, that Liverpool bringing down their net, so they need to get the 3 points. If it would have been a bit better if sort of maybe City had it done and dusted. I mean, I hate Liverpool, so I don't want Liverpool to win it. But it would have been better if City were a bit more done and dusted. I'm not saying that would have helped. They would take because I don't think that's the kind of mentality that they have. But they really need to win as well. They're in a title race again, so it's not looking good. I'm not confident, and I'm someone, me, I'm always positive. I always try and be positive no matter what, but it's not looking good.
Tottenham beat them, Natalie.
Yeah. So, and you know what? Our last few games, he has been under. Ollie did go there regularly and pick up points, and I do think in a time like this under Ollie, what happened at Liverpool and what happened at the home games. It wasn't great, but I remember under Ollie, we would be like, this team would be like, right, this team's down and out, and then they go and win on a run like this. This would be the best month, and it would be the Watfords that would let us down. So maybe they'll get inspiration from the fact that everyone's sort of gonna be writing them off. What happened last time when we played them wasn't good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You would think that they want to avenge themselves, put up a good performance. Yeah. Yes, Tottenham have just beaten them, so they can be beaten. They're not, untouchable. But I just don't see it. I don't know. I mean, what I think it would be like an Atletico. We can hold it, hopefully, and then, maybe smash.
But you'll take that.
I'd take that 100%. Yeah, take a smash and grab all day long.
Yeah.
Tottenham sort of dominated them in a way, but so Tottenham probably should have been 4 up. If it wasn't for these VAR. So, but I don't think we're going to be like that. I think we're just going to be a smash and grab, and I don't mind.
So, last question before they go: will Man United get top 4?
In my heart, I say yeah. In my head, I say no. And
what's the reason in the head?
Just because I think Arsenal are going to probably take it. I think they are the form team in and around. I'm sorry,
Don't say that.
Yeah, but I just think that they're going to take it. I think they believe in each other. There's a unit there. They like what Steve was saying about Arteta. They're behind him. I think United could. I do still think that they could if they get their act together. If this is sort of like that month that I said, that galvanising month, yeah, they can take it. But I just feel like that Wolves game for Arsenal, I think that. But then I don't know, because we see these turns always happen. No one expected, City to lose. Everyone thought it'd be tied up by now. So yeah, things can change. But I just feel like that Wolves game was massive for Arsenal. That's. I know when Wolves managers saying, they're celebrating and win the Champions League, but yeah, that's how big it is, like you were saying. And how long have Arsenal been out of Champions League for? So yeah, it is big for them. So I'm happy. Not happy for them, but you know what I mean? So, so they should celebrate. You know what I'm saying? How long they've been out? Yeah. I never begrudge anyone celebrating like they won the Champions League. Fair play. That's how much it means to you. Good, you can see it in the faces how much it means. And
I think it was more that it was like the last minute. Everything was last minute against them.
As you should.
Beat them against 10 men.
As you should. I ain't got no problem, man.
Yeah, if you look at Wolves' run as well, Arsenal were the only team in the last however many 10 games to get a win against them, and they've done it twice. So yeah. There's reason for why they were so happy, and Wolves should see it as a good thing. They should see it as a compliment that Arsenal celebrated so well against them, because they've been a seriously tough team this season. And if they could get either Jimenez scoring, or they could get in a forward who could complement him, or a forward who could bang in a few more goals, even just 10 goals a season, that Wolves team is a serious team. And will be a serious threat on top 4 and most definitely most definitely Europe. All right, that is all we have time for. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Natalie.
Thanks a lot for having me. Appreciate it.
No, of course, and thank you very much for joining us tonight, Steve.
Cheers, mate. Pleasure.
All right, as I always say, make sure you press that like and subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button if you are watching on Facebook and change your settings so we can see who you are. Make sure you join us in the chat next time as well. Yeah. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Need to find that button and wash your hands.